Welcome to the Deep Chat.
So we've previously discussed GPT-3, OpenAI's language generation model that produced the famous unicorns news story. We've also talked about DALL-E, the text-to-image generation model. And in both cases, OpenAI has been cagey and in some sense not very open about broadly sharing these models, citing that they could be, I guess, at high level dangerous or inappropriate to release. Brad, what's your hot take on that?
Considering that I don't know a lot about it, at first blush, I would say no. And I'll tell you why. And in short, I'll tell you why. Then I want to hear your answer. Why? It's because we already have an open internet that allows pretty much anyone to publish anything. And we already have to, sift through all of that. And Google, Facebook, Twitter, etc., have become savvy to this idea that just because it's on the internet doesn't make it real. And I think people are yet more savvy to that now than they've ever been. I think that there's some risk, but I don't think it's that great of a risk that you shouldn't release GPT-3.
I think you've hit on a key thing of what is the real harm? How damaging can this be? And I find myself on the fence because I'm not sure. I think if laser focused in how you use it, it could be quite damaging. But to what degree do we worry about extreme cases? I'm unclear.
Well, let's do an extreme case.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. What's your extreme case? You focus on, when I come up with one, I think I want to character assassinate a particular person.
Sure.
Let's say that person isn't particularly famous, but they have enough of an online presence.
Leaked fake nudes.
Leaked. Combine that with DALL-E. Leaked fake nudes with an article, like one per day for the next 3 months, and obviously Google will pick that up, or at least the dark internet, so to speak, the side of the internet that doesn't really meet the light of day, will pick that up, and it of course they'll read it, and people will believe it, and so that person's reputation can be tarnished. And I have a rebuttal to that, but is that kind of one of the examples? Do you have another one?
Yeah, I think taking an extension on that there's like a societal thing here that you could, for politically motivated reasons, another nation state could embark in next level scale of fake news and disinformation to the degree to which maybe it could impact elections and things like that.
Which
I'm not convinced is true, but maybe.
Yeah, we're all aware that to some degree happens every day, right?
Yeah. Everyone tries. How successful is the open question?
Right. We do it to Russia. Russia does it to us.
For sure.
We do it to everybody. We say that it's not fair when they do it to us, but yet we do it to everybody.
Yeah.
Which I totally get. That's just the way it works. I'm just not sure that because that risk is there that you say, well, we can't make this technology available because someone's going to make it available. What they need to be doing is pushing organizations and pushing government to find some way to deal with the problem that is the result of making that technology available, because it will become available.
The cost is going to go down. Everything happens that way. But there is still a minimum scale to these sorts of things. They'll get more efficient. They'll get easier. At some point, you'll just get the binary version of the model, and you can just copy it. But even that thing is going to take up a ridiculous amount of space to even manage it. You need a little server cluster probably going. So there's a non-trivial cost here.
Sure, they take technical skill, but there will come a way to solve that problem. I mean, we had the entire Silk Road with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, right? That was pretty advanced stitching together of various technologies to make that happen. So I see no reason why if they try to restrict it for too long, that it won't just happen anyway. So maybe they're just saying, hey, we need to put pieces in place before this happens because it's unavoidable that it will.
Well, it'll also be good to see, what's the first really offensive headline? I'm sure there's been some revenge porn kind of stuff out there, but nothing's really caught supreme national attention aside from things where the headline was, it's a fake.
Yeah, I think the thing about porn is it never seems to really make the news. I think it's kind of like this thing that nobody wants to talk about.
What are you talking about? That Kardashian woman is famous only because of her porno thing.
Well, she got famous because of it.
Yeah,
and
that made the
same
news.
thing,
And the Paris Hilton, which is a worse situation, yeah.
Yeah, but you just named 2 in the last 20 years.
Well, I was in high school at that or
relative-
whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but relative to the amount of porn that exists and how frequently people use it, I mean, it's unreal. It's the substrate of the internet.
Yeah.
So it's actually impressive that it doesn't make the news that much. My point here is that
You have a good point, yeah.
it happens. It's probably happened. They probably stitched famous people's faces all over porn at some point, right?
Oh,
Am
for
I
sure,
wrong?
yeah.
And it's already happening. It's just not making, big enough headlines because people know right now that it is fake. The question becomes is when it looks like a news article accompanied with it that looks less fake, right?
Yeah.
It looks like a scholarly, it looks really well written, it seems legit, and they will fake it very well. But it still won't be on a website that's legit. It still is not going to make New York Times, in theory, though they have reprinted or quoted sources that were complete fabrications.
The New York Times posts articles about UFOs being real, which is obviously not true. So anything could get through.
Yeah, I just can't imagine that we won't see our way through it. I don't have anything empirical to say that, but I still would say it's just not worth it. That's not worth to hold back on GPT-3 because I would love to try it for article generation. I mean, I could see there's a whole industry that could use it. I have friends who run a very successful workout website, and they hired someone in another country to write one article per day in their language, so that they found the right person who knew the terminology was in health and fitness, but they lived in another country, so they hired them to write an article a day so that the owner of the company didn't have to write that article because they found that the more frequent they posted articles, the more traction they got and the more sales they got. So one per day, and they hired someone to do that. That's their whole job, is to write that. Now, farm that out to AI, right?
Well, I mean, we're bumping into this being really, the underlying problem here is the way the search engine works. That should not be the metric of importance. That's a proxy that's now kind of getting manipulated. Like you can't, no disrespect to your friend, they can't tell you that their product is better because they publish every day rather than Monday and Wednesday only.
Oh, correct. I don't think they care
that.
about saying their product's better. It's exposure and the search algorithm, right?
It's a marketing effort. So, and the same token, no one necessarily wants to read those articles every day. Like it would be better for us all if maybe they did once a week, but we're slaves to the search algorithm.
And we're slaves to the search algorithm. I think that is where that's the crux of the problem, right? That search algorithm, it's a question of how often that search algorithm is going to surface that information. From Facebook's algorithm to what it shows you, to Twitter's, to Google search or Google News. How often does it actually pull from sources that are not necessarily as legit, but yet seem legit? And will we be able to have algorithms that can detect AI or bots versus humans? And clearly that's very hard according to Twitter.
Well, you're setting a low bar there. Actually, that's an interesting thing we could unpack. I read up on that. But either way, it is fair to say that good bots are hard to detect, and any text produced by GPT-3 would certainly qualify as a good bot.
I think that is something I want to talk about. Maybe we can end this one, and I want to ask you, what do you think about bots and Twitter?
So you're still feeling that this is overkill, yeah?
I still feel it's overkill for the reasons I stated. One, it's going to happen anyway. Two, we already have this happening in society, maybe not at the same volume, but we have means to deal with it.
I still think this is a smart move. Two general points. There's a clear means for abuse of this. So letting it out widely is just an invitation for chaos. Having it closed source, someone's still going to abuse it, but let's watch them and see what they're doing and figure things out and move a little slowly. The same way, like, I'm sure, if I go to the hardware store, I can buy a generator, but not some at some point I have to have a license electrician to buy the bigger thing, right? I think this is that kind of analogy. This is a powerful technology that we need to monitor a little bit. And then the other point, just to close it out, that I hadn't even gotten to yet, this model is trained based on data on the internet, probably publicly available data. But one use of this could be to kind of inference things out, like let me see if I can get it to produce credit card numbers because it read them somewhere. And there could be some, passwords and stuff like that embedded in here, and I don't know that they've had sufficient time to vet that all out. So it would be better to have a log of every query submitted just in case anyone's doing something fishy.
Wow, I like that. Yeah, that's true. That would be more of an argument for not putting it out there broadly.
Yeah.
Because there was security risk.
Yeah.
And my guess is that maybe that's the reason they just don't want to say it. Because I wouldn't say it. You never talk about security flaws.
That's a good reason. I would say that.
Yeah, but you don't want to talk about potential security flaws in your software ever.
It's not software,
right?
It's a model.
Well, that's true. All right.